Greetings, folks. This is vk3sl. Welcome to an evening missions sessione. We're here to not entertain, but to sample historic material and learn as we go and all those things. And I'm happy to be back again. Had an excellent weekend away last weekend. At least we were able to scrape something together and go for some walks and see some horizons and breathe some fresh air, all those things. So, and then back to work, back to the grind. But here we have a sanctuary full of nostalgia, shellac, and we'll inhabit the space for the next little while. And at around about midnight, we'll dial up Mr. JR on Zoomomatic. Look forward to catching up with Frank. And I think we might be sampling some Handel tonight and possibly some Hindemith. We'll see where it takes us. Anyhow, it's a time-honoured tradition to start off with something from the 20s, and I've been to a few op shops over the course of the week, and in one local op shop I found some Bon Marche 78s. These are records made for Payne's Drapers in Burke Street, Melbourne. They had their own label. Actually, these records were made for Crystallate, or made by Crystallate in England for the Imperial label and stamped here for the Australian market. And you don't see them that often, but they are always interesting, always had pseudonyms. In fact, one side of this particular record has got Laurie Kinloch and the orchestra, and the other side has Laurie Linlock and the orchestra. So go figure. In actual fact, it is the music of Sam Lannon, a celebrated bandleader in the 1920s. We'll hear him in 1927, and his take on a classic tune called The Dancing Tambourine. And that should work. Take two. And that's still not working, so what we do, we go and find out where the problem is. Is it switched? Maybe it isn't. Okay, here we go. That was Sam Lannon and the orchestra from about 1927 on a Bon Marche record, a label produced by Paynes in Melbourne and Drapers in Burke Street. They had their own paste-over label on Imperial Records made by Crystallate in London. Bit of a story there, and it spawned quite a journey this afternoon. We were playing all sorts of weird and wonderful recordings going way back to the early days, looking at unusual labels, and that is one that's sort of come into our midst. Anyhow, we'll persevere with a few more offerings before we settle into our Zoom zone. And I'm noticing that the aerial current is down a little bit, and I expect it's because of the rain. It wasn't quite so easy to tune up this evening, but it is very wet outside. Measure a bubble. But quite like the sound of the rain on the tin roof. Now, got some records here from another op shop. These are really scratched up, so we'll just take a punt with these. A couple of Spotlights and a Cetra record. Well, the Spotlights feature Aubrey Whelan at the State Theatre. These were found in Inverloch. Now, Aubrey Whelan and Laurie Wilson says Spotlight Variety, and there we go. Quite a few records, quite a few tracks here to choose from. I really don't know where to start. I don't know. They're probably already slow and soporific. Will put all the listeners to sleep. But there's one called Pale Moon, or Song of the Islands. Wurlitzer Memories. Oh, goodness. All right, we'll have to have one of these. Pale Moon. It's a Spotlight Variety. Goes way back to the early 50s. And we'll keep our fingers crossed that this actually plays, because they are in bad connect. This is vk3sl testing on 160 and on UHF. Oh dear, it's not sounding good, is it? That's not a great result. I'll try another, or maybe I'll try cleaning the stylus, and we'll try another track. Oh, it's so dirty, this record. Looks like someone's had a pizza off the surface. We'll give it a clean and see if I can find another track that might play better. I reckon if I do clean these, they'll probably come up okay. They're quite deep grooves, and they're pretty resilient, these Spotlights. I'm just giving it a clean as I speak. Oh yeah, it's really grubby. That's the problem. We'll try the other side, see if this one works better. It's the Roses of Picardy. It's Albert Whelan and Laurie Wilson. Okay, let's see if we get it. I might increase the stylus pressure a little bit here too, and you never can know. sound of the State Theatre. Wurlitzer organ there, Albert Whelan at the console, and that also featured Laurie Wilson on the piano, evidently. A recording made by Cyril Stevens, live on site. I'll clean that record up, and I think it'll come up all right with a bit of TLC. There's a couple of spotlights in this batch, which was an interesting discovery. And a Cetra record, but I will take some time to present them a bit better so we don't have any false starts. All right, some more light non-entertainment here. It's the music of Albert Sandler and his orchestra, a recording made just after the Second World War on a very shiny-looking Australian laminated pressing, a Columbia. From that post-war period, they always come up pretty well. So I think we'll sample this. It's Sandler's, what is it called? Sandler's Serenades is the name of the disc. This is vk3sl testing. Music of Albert Sandler. I thoroughly enjoyed hearing some palm chord music. In fact, I think I will flip the disc and hear side B. Keen to hear what other Sandler serenades there are on this record. Let's check in, let's find out. Side B. Oh, we got the Tosselli serenade. Oh, that's brilliant. And the Lemillion de Alequin, the Drigo. Oh, this will be most excellent. These are sort of Edwardian sounds, really. A bit of a retrospective with Albert Sandler. It comes across very well. Excellent bass on this record, on this Columbia. Very nice condition. Let's hear it. Side B. I'm vk3sl. Testing. Palm court music at its best. Albert Sandler. Now, interestingly, that record, I think it's earlier than I believe it was. I think it may be even a later reissue, but the recording itself was probably made in the late 1920s, early 30s. It was interesting to read that Sandler started his contract with Columbia in 1927 and continued with them between the wars, made most of his recordings in the late 20s, early 30s. Very pleasant stuff. It's sort of, it heralds the time. That Palm Court ambience and beautiful arrangements and that sweet tone he had. Mr. Sandler on the fiddle. Now, what we'll do, I'll shortly dial up Zoom and sort all of that out, but in the interim I'll play another instalment from The Sounds of Time. This series has been playing over the last little while. I think there is another couple to go. And this has been made for the BBC by the Oriel Company. And it's a sort of a historical stamp. It's a dramatisation of the years 1934 to 1949, it says here. Told in the voices that made history and illustrated by great events that are part of it. Written by Frederick Mullally. I find it a hard name to read out. And narrated by John Snagg. So, some historic BBC material. Now, this is really quite a interesting snapshot of the time. And what have we got? Number 9 in the series. And if I look up number 9, it says here in the folder, Britain's royal family tours the Union of South Africa and Rhodesia's. King George VI speaks of his anxiety about Britain's economic plight. Princess Elizabeth comes of age. A solemn dedication to the service of the Empire. And Jawaharlal Nehru on the transfer of power to India. Swearing in of Lord Louis Mountbatten, says here. And Archbishop of Canterbury conducts the royal wedding. Princess Elizabeth and Duke of Edinburgh at Westminster Abbey. There we go. So, that's it. Side 9. I'm going to try this on the buyer today because I think the buyer just may be a little bit more suited to this recording. They're very warped, these records. Let's have a listen.
The sacrifice of war turned to cultivate the fruits of peace. And to the Union of South Africa and the Rhodesias came the British royal family, personifying the intimate relationship that linked a far-flung Commonwealth with the mother country. It was a happy tour, radiating friendship, kinship, and song. And overshadowed, as King George VI himself put it in a speech at Pretoria, only by the grave industrial crisis that was then paralyzing the mother country.
And the only unhappy memory that I shall have of them will be due to my constant anxiety about the cruel ordeal which the people of Great Britain have undergone since I left them at the end of January.
During this tour, Princess Elizabeth, heir to the throne, came of age and broadcast this solemn dedication to the Commonwealth.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong.
The family was growing up. 3 of its members, India, Burma, and Ceylon, now grown to adulthood, were restless for independence. And with the mingled pride and regret of the eternal parent, Britain handed them the key of the door. On June the 3rd, 1947, a great Indian leader and patriot, Jawaharlal Nehru, broadcast his acceptance of the British government's formula for the transfer of power.
We are little men serving great causes, but because the cause is great, something of that greatness falls upon us also. Mighty forces at work, mighty forces are at work in the world today and in India, and I have no doubt that we are ushering in a period of greatness for India.
And 2 months later, the last Viceroy of the British Raj, Lord Mountbatten, was ceremonially sworn in at New Delhi as the first Governor-General of a self-governing Indian dominion.
I, Louis Francis Albert Victor Nicholas, Viscount of Burma, do swear that I will and truly serve His Majesty, King George VI, his heirs and successors, in the office of Governor-General of India.
As the year drew to a close, India's new Governor-General flew to take his part in the pageantry of a royal romance that thrilled Britain and the world. A young princess stood beside her sailor bridegroom in Westminster Abbey while the Archbishop of Canterbury joined them in marriage.
Forasmuch as Philip and Elizabeth Alexandra Mary have consented together in holy wedlock and have witnessed the same before God and this company, and thereto have given and pledged their troth either to other, and have declared the same by giving and receiving of a ring and by joining of hands, I pronounce that they be man and wife in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost. Amen.
And there we have it, that side 9, I think, of that series by John Snagg. Sons of Our Time seem to play quite well. So there we go. That's that one. And what we'll have to do now is switch across. I've got a little bit of switching and sorting to do. How did that happen? All right, I think that's our interlude music while I'll sort out the Zoom link. I've sent the link through to you, Frank, so it should be in your neck of the woods. And we'll let this play out. This is the music of Strauss. And just acknowledging that there's no change to the system here. Just received a note from Mr. Stu. I don't think I haven't really done anything different. But it does, on the power meter, it's looking quite a lot less, but maybe less is more. Something is happening, but very wet here. So the aerial current, looks like it's down, but evidently it's working well. Okay, well, we'll just let this play out, and we look forward to linking up shortly with Mr. JR, vk3sl testing. Beecham and the Philharmonia there, and the music of Johann Strauss. Right, well, we've got systems in order, so we can listen in for you, Frank, when you're ready, and I think I've got the participation thing ready there, so I might just switch over to the other sound card in anticipation. Doing that as I speak, and that means I can turn off the noise reduction system. There's a shared arrangement here, and there we go. That's now switched off, and it's now connecting up to the second sound card, which is associated with Zoom. So ready to go when we have Frank on the list. What I can do is play a little bit more Strauss, perhaps. I can flip the disc, but we'll play it barefoot. A raw recording. We don't have the advantage of using processing. So
Hello.
Oh, hello there, Frank. How are you?
Good, thank you. I haven't got your email.
Oh, how strange. I just checked and it said it's sent. Okay.
I sent one to myself just as a test, and that came
Yeah,
through okay.
that's a bit weird. Here we go. Let's see. Mr. Nolan, missions link, 1204. We'll try again. Well, yeah, new message. I'll put it on. Tell you what, I'll just I'll put this record on while I'm concentrating on that. It's the London Phil, actually, on this. Voices of Spring. And
One of the many Strasses.
yeah, they're great, aren't they?
Yes.
So, Mr. F. No. I'll just make sure I've got the right address. There we go. Missions link. And I'll just type it out. Missions link. And I should be able to just paste it. Here we go. Control V. And we send. And it's off into the ether. And I'll check my sent file. Here we go. Sent. Here we go. It looks like it's gone through. 1210. So you should have it.
I'm waiting and watching.
Okay. So we'll have that. Oh, we'll have to have some Strauss. This will sort of give us a... Oh, why isn't it playing? Oh, I know why. Wrong fader. Okay. So I wonder, so no sign of it yet?
I've got the link now.
Oh, good. Okay, no worries. All right, we'll hear from you in a moment. I think we have contact, Frank. I think you're in the room. So, hello there. That sounded good. Yeah, coming through beautifully. Nice signal. Yeah, that's great. I'm pleased that's working well.
Excellent.
Yeah, I was just relishing in this recording. These laminated 78s just sound so good. You know, it's very little noise. I'm playing this barefoot now, and there is a little bit more presence when you haven't got the noise. I mean, the noise reduction serves a fantastic function.
It does. It's wonderful. Really.
It really does make a huge difference. But when you have a really clean record like this, just listen to how clean this is.
Beautiful.
And then you're supposed to turn the record over. But we've already done that. We already had side 2 before.
I'm not getting audio from you through Zoom.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why. You hearing me now?
Why?
Oh, how strange. Let me see if I'm... Oh, maybe something's amiss. Have I pushed the mute button by mistake? No. How about that? That is really weird. No, that's not going to be satisfactory if you can't hear me through Zoom.
It doesn't matter, really.
Well, it's sort of uncomfortable for you, though. Now, I was looking at my
handle
little...
a bit of latency.
Oh, well, it's not so pleasant. How about that? Now, I can see my little microphone, and I don't think it's going. I'm going to just check the sound card here. Make sure that everything's plugged in properly. Bear with me for a sec. I'll just see if I can get that right. I'll just unplug and plug in a couple of times. So I've done that side of things. How interesting. Well, I might just... I don't want to bore the listener.
I could try the old unplug and plug here.
No, I reckon it's at this end, because I have a little microphone icon, and I can see if I'm actually what I'm doing. So I'm going to just
Yeah, no, I've got it now.
You got it now? Okay. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Okay, that's good. All right. Oh, yes, I can see it's moving now. I think it was to do with the fact that I actually I changed the USB sound cards in situ, and it sometimes takes a little while for the computer to catch up. Yeah, I mean, ideally I'd have a separate computer for everything, but I've already got about 5 laptops in here for other purposes, so that's okay. It usually works all right, but there we go. We've got a result.
That's all good.
Excellent. All right. Well, I think we can sort of settle into the throes of... well, I don't know, a musical journey of one sort or another, I suppose.
That's it.
I've been listening a lot this evening. I spent the whole evening just... this is one of the good things about all of this. It's really got me listening to stuff and just indulging and hearing new things. And following our chat this afternoon, I've been listening quite a bit to Hindemith's music.
Oh, Trower music.
Yeah, I did. I listened to the whole Trower music, and it brought a lot back to me, actually, from the time when I did play it, because I used to play in a string orchestra. And it's such a marvellous work, and it only goes for 6 minutes, so we should play that. And also I've been listening to the Kammer music, which is a series of chamber music offerings that Hindemith wrote in the 20s. And he wrote about 7 settings of chamber music, and they're like mini concertos, about 20 minutes each, and for different instrumental combinations. But I really like the music. It's very inspired by jazz flavours, and it's quite interesting. And it is a part of that objective movement in classical music in the 20s, that sort of reaction against the glutinous indulgences of romantic music. He certainly reacts quite directly to that. So his music's very incisive, it's very clean, it's very angular and very precise. And sort of neo-baroque in a way. Okay. And I really quite like it. I mean, you've got to be in the mood for it, but it's really nice to listen to. And we have been hearing a fair bit because Henry's practicing the Hindemith horn sonata.
Yes, you were saying.
Yeah, so look, we could play a bit of Hindemith. And there's also this remarkable work by Handel, and I've been sampling that as well.
Oh, yes, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, that'll be good. So what first? Well, I think if I play the Hindemith second, everyone's going to go to sleep. So maybe I'll start with it, and I don't know, maybe it's not that soporific. It's quite mournful, quite sort of reflective if we play the Trower music, but it is so beautiful. Yeah. And
I thought it was just amazing. It's got a deep sadness through it, but it's lovely, and I don't know, it's sort of restful in a way.
Yes, indeed. Now, listen to the story again, because you related it this afternoon. It's quite extraordinary, really, the tale of how this came about.
It was composed for a purpose, which was to Hindemith had been invited to England, and he was only too happy to go because the Germans were giving him a hard time, the Nazis.
Yes.
In 1936, this was.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Yep, sorry, that was that was Siri talking to me there, answering.
Yes, I know. So I thought she's understanding everything I'm saying.
I think so. Yes. How about that?
It's sort of unnerving when you get saying things that make sense in the course of a conversation.
I know. Siri's listening. How about that? It's never happened before. I must have pushed something. Go on, keep going.
and so he was only too happy to accept the invitation to come to England and play something. And he'd selected a very bright, happy piece of music, and just to express how pleased he was to be there. And he got there to find that got to England to find that George V had just died. And he really says that I can't possibly play this thing that I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But he had a particular thing that he was going to play. So I can't play that. I have to write something that's in keeping with the somber times that I'm in England. They're all mourning George V. So the story ran that he wrote trial music in 6 hours.
Extraordinary.
Totally extraordinary, and played it, to acclaim, and it was very well received, as you would imagine.
Yeah,
it would
yeah.
be.
Yes.
And that was it.
Incredible, really, to think that he could just sort of come up with something of such profundity. It's a work of, I mean, it is a very deep, quite melancholy, and it certainly reflects the mood and of the time, but just beautifully crafted and. Wonderful sonorities, and just
yes, I loved the harmonies, the depth of the harmonies. Just beautiful.
It was a complete master. He just had understood. He had a full palette of string orchestra colour, because it's written for string orchestra and solo viola. And and look, it's a masterpiece. It's quite short. It's made up, I think, of about 6 very short movements. They all go for, I think, about less than a minute each. So it's that's the nature of it. So it's a very sort of concentrated work. But let's have a listen to Trow music. And we're listening to this work is written by Paul Hindemith for viola and string orchestra. It was Hindemith's trial music, work for viola and string orchestra, written upon the death of King George V in 1936. Very powerful work, and we heard the chorale in the style of Bach there in the towards the end, which was
I love that. That was probably the highlight for me, if I had a highlight.
With those sort of
the big chord, beautiful.
Oh, they're so rich,
singing chords.
Definitely, and the way the viola sort of just reflects on the it sort of has these moments of I don't know. It's almost detached in a way, and
yes,
it's quite remarkable the way it portrays the a lost spirit or a that deep melancholy, and it's such effective writing. I remember playing that. We took it on tour years ago, and I got into I really grew attached to this piece. And it's so good to hear it again after a long hiatus. So thank you for bringing that one up. Great to hear.
Well, it just impressed me so much that I didn't know whether you'd know it, but because I'd never heard of it.
Sure.
Until this
Look,
morning.
you don't hear Hindemith's music very often. Some of it's a bit academic. It's not that approachable. But look, I have to say that I've been sampling a bit this evening, and I've just really enjoyed the journey. I've been listening particularly to the Kammer music, which was his big thing he wrote in the 1920s, and there's some great comments because I think he really upset the establishment. And I'll give you one review. This is just brilliant stuff. It says here, this is referring to his Kammer Music No. 1. It's a work written for flute, clarinet, bassoon, trumpet, accordion, piano, string quintet, and percussion. And it says the reviewer wrote, "We've reached it at last. Modern German music has finally managed to embrace today's lifestyle, having its fling at its most frivolous and vulgar. The man who brought about this wonder is the composer Paul Hindemith in his Kammer Music, Opus 24, No. 1. One is confronted with a kind of music the likes of which no German composer with an artistic attitude has ever even dared think about, let alone write. Music of a lewdness and frivolity only possible for a very special kind of composer." Now, I'm not sure if that's a positive or negative review.
No, it's sort of a backhanded compliment on the one hand, or on the other hand, it could be a very veiled put down.
Yes, indeed it could. I know that the Nazis couldn't stand his music. They thought it was too erotic and decadent. And although he wasn't Jewish, his wife was, and there was a lot of pressure on him. And his music was eventually banned, and he was basically he chose to leave and live in Switzerland. But
he this was in 1936. He was, according to my raconteur, he was very keen to leave.
that's
Because
right.
they were making it hot for him.
They were making life very difficult. Yeah. Just at the turn, just when the Nazis came to power, he was the big kingpin. His operas were being performed. His music was really at the helm, and of course it just became all unravelled very quickly. But look, I'll give you that little review. Refers to. I'll just play you a minute or two of the Kammer Music No. 1. I'll make these short, shiny samples, and it'll just give the listener a taste of this work. It's interesting work. It's the new objectivity and lewdness, frivolity, eroticism. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's have a listen. There we go. There's the first movement. I just love it. It's very festive.
I thought it was terrific.
Yeah.
I love it. Terrific. As you say, a big nod to jazz.
Oh, definitely. Yes, you hear the flavours. Syncopation is abound, and it's just got that wonderful sort of spark. It's great. It's energetic. It sparks off itself. It's just got that wonderful self-contained, I don't know, effervescence, which I think is really, really great. And so, yeah, that's his Kammer Music number 1. Now, number 2, I can give a sample of number 2. Apparently, number 2 was Charlie Parker's favourite piece.
There you go.
You used to listen to him.
Well, I can see that Charlie would like this sort of thing.
Yes, right.
Because it's a bit Parker-esque in itself.
Okay. Well, of course, sample bit of number 2. Number 2 is it's called the, what is it? I'll just quickly refer to this. It's the wind quint. It's a wind quintet. And it's the Kleiner. It's called Kleiner, which is the sort of the smaller version. There's Kammer Music number 1, 2, up to 7, and then there's this little tiny Kammer Music.
Kleiner means small, yeah.
Yeah. So Kammer Music, of course, means chamber music. So he just explores the textures and sounds of small ensembles. Now this one is written for a wind ensemble, and featuring flute, clarinet, bassoon, flange horn, and oboe. I think that's the makeup. And but we'll sample a bit of this. And apparently Charlie Parker's favourite piece. How about that? And again, it's very jazz influenced, written in about 1924. This one. Yeah. So we'll just hear a little snapshot. Kammer Music, Kleiner. This is from a live performance. What I'll do is I'll just fade there, and then I'll just come back towards the end of the piece. Okay, so they'll only go for about 15 minutes each. They're quite short, but we'll just hear a sample of the last part of it. There we go. That was an excerpt from Hindemith's Kammermusik, number 2 for a small wind ensemble. And I find myself, I don't know about you, Frank, but I find I get drawn into that sound world.
It's lovely, the way he sets the instruments together.
Yeah.
And creating very special tonalities.
It's right. It's very transparent. You get the harmonies ring. They're abstract harmonies, but it's not entirely atonal. It gravitates. You can hear they're sort of. It's got a harmonic rhythm of sorts that galvanizes the work. And but it goes to all sorts of fascinating places and with all these great mosaic textures.
And I'm constantly surprised where it goes because I never know where it's going to go.
Yeah, that's it. I found myself just completely magnetized earlier on this evening. I was listening to this and I was frozen on the spot because all the time there's something interesting going on. There's, as I said, there's 7 of these, and one of them's a cello concerto, another one's a small cello concerto, and that's amazing. But I'll save that for another time. There's a violin concerto, there's a viola concerto, and there are other small ensemble works for one. I think one's got an organ in it as well.
Oh,
so he's just really interested in exploring instrumental textures and in a chamber music setting, which is, I suppose, a step aside from the normal conventions. We sort of associate chamber music with sextets, quartets, octets, and the typical piano trios and so on. But here we have really unusual instrumental groupings, and with just fascinating results.
This is the sort of thing you can do on a synthesizer. Just throw tonalities together and see what the overall effect is.
Yes.
And you can do it completely blind, by which I mean without even having any idea what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And it's a bit sort of, the way that I would do it would be to some extent a trial and error. Although you have sort of expectations and hopes as to what might happen, but it's constantly surprising to put A with B. And C turns out to be, what does it like?
Yes, that's right. It's just the flavor. It's like flavor. It's texture and sinews and it's like confetti.
It's actually it's a huge contrast from the trial music, isn't it?
Yes, it is, definitely. It's a very different style altogether. There's one here. I'll have to play a sample of this one. He writes one movement as fast as possible, and at the end of the score he says, it says as fast as possible is the last movement. This is the violin, small mini violin concerto, and at the very end he says, and even faster if you can. No, and even faster, please.
No pressure.
Where's that effect? Have a listen to this. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Is that it? I think it starts.
No, it doesn't sound like that's as fast as possible.
No, here it is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Well, that's pretty fast.
It certainly is. And, I mean, how would you ever play something like that?
I know.
I was reading the score. The score was on the screen actually when that was playing, and you just have to, or you could never, no brain can read the music that fast, and
to keep together playing that speed.
That's right. You just have to memorize it. It's a complete muscle memory exercise. But look, especially with that level of complexity. But wow, what a sound world that is! it's just incredible. What an imagination! So anyhow, look, there's a sample. Look, the organ one's amazing. There's so much good music. We'll have to come back to and do more programs on Hindemith and look at his some of his other works as well, because he did sort of evolve through a range of different impressions and designs. But always favouring sort of almost a Baroque revival in a sense, not in the strict sense, not harmonically, but in terms of the objectivity and the sort of transparency of the writing. I think it heralds that. So there we go. So thank you for bringing that topic up, because I wouldn't have thought of Hindemith, and now he's on the radar. He made a lot of 78s. There's quite a few recordings of him playing the viola, and he was a very fine viola player. And he recorded quite a bit in the interwar
of his
period.
own stuff.
Some of his own stuff, and also conventional works as well. He was very active as a performing musician. Yeah. So,
how long did he? Do you know how long he lived?
1962, I think he passed away, and he wasn't that old. He was only in his late 60s. So he died sort of prematurely, really. But so the story of Hindemith. But I commend to the listener all of the Kammermusiks. They're sort of some of the most accessible of his music. Some of it, his later stuff, became very, very complex, and for me it's not as easy to listen to. But I thoroughly enjoy the variety and the textual interest in that series that we've just heard. So
it's bordering on atonalism, isn't it?
Well, it is in a sense, but it sort of always comes back. At
the finish, yes. It finishes where it starts. It's true.
It does, and it does have reference points, agogic points throughout, where it's sort of where you feel, or suddenly everyone will play in unison or something, and that has
that's it.
And that has an implicit tonality.
Rhythmic sort of stops and starts, and
that's right.
And phrasing.
Yes, I don't think he ever sort of was recognised as an atonal or serial composer. I think it's more that the harmonic rhythm is less obvious in the it doesn't fit the tonic dominant resolve that underpins a lot of Western traditional music.
But nevertheless, he's not. He is playing in a key.
Yes. Everything is written in a key. So it seems, or the music we've been listening to so far. He's just got a rich harmonic palette, and his harmonic rhythm is quite diverse. So you only get those fragments of tonal centre rather than something that's explicit, I suppose.
I would need to hear some of this more than once to really home in on that, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. It is an acquired taste as well. I mean, it's not something that's for everyone, but
no. But I mean, just in terms of kind of following the music, if you like.
I find it just there's this meridian of little lines, and they sort of converge and dissipate and move around, and I just find myself just tracing them all. It's like it's these threads.
Well, that's it. It's not easy though, is it? Or I didn't find it easy.
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's different. It's very different. It's a different aesthetic, really, and it's not something that we sort of that attuned to. We're very sort of conditioned to a harmonic pulse, and
I mean, with the trial music, I was more than delighted with the overall impression of it, of the gorgeous harmonies and the solemnity of it.
Yes,
it was just
very much
a
block
total
chords.
listening. No, that's right. But this I found harder to.
Sure.
Well, it was so fast, you know.
Some of it's yes, it's sparks and confetti and impressions.
I mean, the overall effect is electrifying, you know.
Yeah, I find it that, and but anyhow, it's there on the for indulgence, and I might select a movement here or there for the beginning of the afternoon sessions just to set the scene. But look,
that'll wake everyone up.
Yes, it will. Well, we'll go for the proverbial gear change now.
Yeah.
And so we'll have.
Can I just say hello to the listener?
Yes, indeed. A warm greeting.
Welcome.
Yes.
Abroad, and especially Jamie, if you happen to be.
Yeah, a warm hello to everyone listening in. Indeed.
And everyone, yes, indeed, everyone.
That's it. We probably don't do that enough, you know. We sort of get caught up in our little discussions, and then
That's right. I think you almost forget that there's anyone else.
Oh, I know. We don't forget you, listeners, and we know you're there. No. We just get caught up in the conversation. We get on a roll, don't we, Frank?
We do.
Yes. So anyone else listening in, it's lovely to have your company. And we do enjoy, the thought that you're there. And feel free to drop a text or a message, and it's vk3sl at hotmail.com. It's a special email channel I put in, so if you feel inclined, you can drop us a note. Now, how to start with this handle? Oh, it's so hard to...
How long is it in itself, the whole thing? Is it long?
The handle?
Yes.
Oh, it's a long work. It's really long. So this is going to be sort of selections from it. But I'm just trying to find...
What's it called? Could you tell me what it's called?
Yeah, for sure. It's I'm just looking it up now. It's called Parnesso Infesta. Parnesso Infesta. And I've lost my YouTube...
Just so I can find it myself.
Yes, Parnesso Infesta. Now, I'll just give a bit of background to this, because I was sampling, listening to things and hearing a musicologist speak about Handel and a really significant, sort of fairly recent discovery in Handel's oeuvre. And this is a fairly late work, and it's a work which is like a pastiche, where he's extracted movements from other works and put it together. It was for our royal wedding in 1734. Princess Anne to William of Orange, apparently. And he had to write like it's not an oratorio because it's not religious. It's called a serenata, which is like a mini opera. And it's sort of based on pagan themes, really, and including the Orfeo and Eurydice theme, which is a part of it. That fits into it. And it's just sort of a fairly light sort of play of the gods. It's a party piece, really. And what he's done is he's sort of extracted movements from a number of works, particularly, let's see, there's one or two works that sort of, that are more represented than others. I think one of them is an oratorio called Althea, yes. And he uses quite a few movements for that, plus quite a lot of original material. And the exciting thing is that he is sort of... I think he wanted to write a work to impress, and I think he put that extra bit of effort into things. So he selected very tuneful, beautifully written, works which he reappropriated for the purpose. Now, the fascinating story with this is that the work was not performed really from Handel's lifetime until the early 1970s. So it was pretty much lost to history until fairly recently in the scheme of things. And now it's sort of been rediscovered again and seen as a bit of a masterpiece. So... it's really good. So now there's only one or two recordings of it, and so I'm just trying to work out the best way to sort of access these, and because I'm not very good at reading Italian, but I've just got some. I was wanting to sort of provide a little bit of context to the movements, but what we'll do is there's one here that I will start off with. That if I can just quickly find my list. And it's just it says it all, really. This is the sort of thing we're talking about. This is just such beautiful, sprightly music. It's got Handel's wonderful signature of melodic writing, and it's just excellent melodic writing. It's gorgeous music. Now, I'm just got to, having said all of that, I've just got to find it. It's on the list here. We've been playing it. Kate and I have been listening to it ourselves. Here we go. It's just there's so many movements, and they're all sort of good, and finding ones that adequately represent things. So here we go. I won't try and announce it. It's just a really, really nice tune written by Handel, and it just sounds superb. Have a listen. music of Handel and a movement from his Parnasso in Festa and a late Serenata by Mr. H.
A bit of great vocal gymnastics.
Gosh,
there.
yeah, indeed.
Is that somebody called Philip Juriski?
Let's see. Who is it? It doesn't give me the name. I'm sorry, I cannot. Here we go. Not Philip. There's a series of names. We've got David Hansen, Robin Johansson, Klangmin Justin Kim, Jenny Hogstrom, Silk Gang, and Francesca Ascotti, and Luca Titotto, the names of the artists on this.
Well, you can rule the women out.
Yes, that's right. Yes, indeed. I think there's.
I think it might be the first one you said.
It might be Mr. Hansen, perhaps.
Yes. I think,
or maybe Mr. Kim. Yeah.
He had a high range. I mean, he was singing it in very high range, even for a countertenor.
He was, definitely. But just extraordinary.
Philip Juriski could do this. That's why I thought it might have been.
How interesting.
He's sometimes called sort of a counter soprano almost.
Really? How interesting.
You can sing that coloratura sort of high level.
Well, that really is a coloratura role, isn't it?
Isn't it?
It's incredible. But wow.
That was amazing, the agility of his voice.
Oh, totally. Incredible, really. All that melismatic writing and the phrases thrown to the wind, and there was a lot of abandon in that singing, and great melodic lines. I just really like a good tune, and
yeah, I know.
and I really like the little violin riff. It's got character.
It's lovely stuff.
Very positive music. There's also, look, we'll give a few samples. Here's another one. This one's hunting chorus. It's a hunting chorus, and it's supposed to be very lusty, it says here. I'm not quite sure how.
It'll be interesting how the countertenor deals with this.
Yes, indeed. We can but wonder, indeed. We don't know what's going on in certain places, so we'll hear now this lusty chorus from Parnasso in Festa by Mr. H. There we have our lusty chorus there, and very much Handel-esque, isn't it, in every sense. And, music from Parnasso in Festa.
Very good.
It comes back many times. That's sort of a reprise. And the nature of the work, it's very much like an oratorio in that there's recitatives linking all the movements up, and there's a narrator, and it tells the story. But it's got
a story.
Yeah, it does. It's a very light sort of pagan story, and it does involve Eurydice and Orfeo, and he goes back down. He tries to get her back, and it doesn't quite work. But I think everything works out happy in the ending because other things happen. It's one of those sort of it's a wedding story, and it's got its moments of pathos as well. But
well, you've got to have pathos to appreciate the joy.
That's right, exactly. It's all got to be in proportion. Now, here's another movement which is very pastoral-like, and I think that this has again, Handel's a master at writing pastoral music.
Oh, he
when you think of the
Messiah, lovely things. In the Messiah.
That's right, the Pastoral Symphony and the Messiah. And here is a work which is really almost as good. It's quite beautiful. Let's have a listen. vk3sl testing. rollicking pastoral music and compound time by Mr. H. Yeah.
That was grade A handle, absolutely.
It really was. It's just beautifully written, beautifully formed, great sense of melodic line there, and Trevor's chorus writing. Oh, I just love hearing Handel at his best. It reminds me of the Messiah, and because
that lovely gentle 6/8 is just captivating.
It is. It just rollicks along. Yes. Oh, compound duple time at its best.
Well done.
Oh, it's fabulous stuff.
Two dotted crotchets to the bar.
Indeed. That's it. Well, of course, it could be in 3/8, but that's something else. Right, yes. But, we're listening to excerpts from Parnasso in Festo. It's a serenata. Officially, it's called a serenata. It's sort of an oratorio, really. But a lot of Handel's music was written sort of expediently, and it's, it varies a lot. You get some extraordinarily beautiful stuff and a lot of droll as well. There's a lot of sort of dead Handel. It needs editing, doesn't it?
It
certainly does. I mean, he wrote an enormous amount of music. I think he wrote 40 operas or something, and they're all out there.
It's huge.
I think he's just...
That's part of it. None of it's got lost, you see.
No, that's it. It's all there, and it's. I think he went on automatic pilot, and for a lot of it, and just sort of regurgitated. I don't know what he did, but look, this is exceptional. It's up there with the Messiah, and it's really nice to hear, and just really beautiful, magnificent writing. Yeah,
that last thing was as good as anything he's written. That was beautiful.
I think so. Yeah, it's stupendous. It's great. Well, look, there's a movement here. Oh, there's all sorts of amazing things in this, and I commend it to anyone. There's only about one or two recordings out there. This is live recording here, which was made fairly recently, and there may be a few other excerpts online, but it's not that it's fairly hot off the press. It's only sort of in the process of being rediscovered as we speak, really.
Oh, yes.
So
was it literally lost or
not
was it
lost? No, just shelved.
Just
left it, just sort of mixed up with everything else and not sort of seen for its. And I think people sort of thought that because it's made of select movements from other works that
there's nothing new to hear, sort of.
That's right, exactly. Now this next one features a movement from an earlier opera called Radamisto, which he wrote in 1720, and what he did was he extracted Passacaglia movement from this and then grafted on, quite skillfully, some chorus parts, and just created this magnificent chorus. This is just so beautifully written. So we'll have to have a listen to this Es Ascenda Pur. And the other thing I should mention is this is in Italian, whereas a lot of Handel's music's in English. And whereas it's nice to hear things in English because we can understand them, but the Italian language just rolls. It's so musical.
It's musical. It's just musical in itself. Even in the spoken form.
Yes. That's right.
It is musical, isn't it?
It is, very much so, inherently. It is. It just rolls off the tongue, whereas English and German, I just never think sound that good sung.
They don't. French sounds pretty good, I reckon.
It does. French can sound good, sound beautiful. But, there's something about Italian. So this is very much in the Italian tradition because it's the language of love, and it's all about a wedding. Yeah.
Nearly all his early stuff was Italian, wasn't it?
I think some of the early material was, and then he sort of wrote his oratorios in English and sort of.
When he got to England, he did.
That's right, King James English.
Before he went to England.
Yeah, that's right.
He spent his time in Italy, didn't he?
He did spend time in Italy. That's true. So yeah. Anyhow, we'll have a listen to this. It's originally from Radamisto, work written in 1720, and here it's been reappropriated and with a chorus added to the Passacaglia, and so it's sort of been been reconstituted essentially, and but again, just really a pleasant melodic shapes. Let's have a listen.
Silenzio
Isn't that just glorious music? It's the music of Handel, and in all
He
of
knows
his...
what to do with a choir, doesn't he?
He certainly does. It's got all of the attributes that one does. Yeah, I relish this. I listened to this out on the rocks. I sat out found a good spot and just listened to this whole thing when we were away last weekend, and
Wonderful.
and just relished in the experience in a beautiful nature setting. It's all good. Here's another one. This movement, which originally was in the Althea, and it was recomposed. And again, it's just there's something about a good melodic shape that just sort of endures. So this is an aria from Apollo in the latest this incarnation. So yeah, again, a reappropriated work and superbly value adding to Parnasso in Vesta. that was an abrupt ending. I'm sorry we didn't get the final cadence then. That's probably because it runs straight into the rest of the TEV afterwards. So, yeah. Oh, sorry, Frank. I just got to turn you up there. Yeah. So, anyhow, we got the gist of it. And, I do like the accompaniment figure in that.
Oh,
it just has a nice rollicking character. Yeah. So,
who's the orchestra?
The Baroque Orchestra Basel in Vulcan Ensemble Basel by Andrea Marcon.
Very good job.
Yeah, they're doing really well. I mean, it's really beautifully played and really tight ensemble. It's excellent. I'll play just a couple more movements.
Yes, please.
Yeah, here we go. Here's another one originally from Athalia, the oratorio Athalia, and originally this was, it says here, a wicked apostate priest meeting his gloomy fate. And and that was the original. That was in the Athalia.
Okay.
And then
That's what happened to...
and apparently Handel now...
he wanted another priest he wanted to have disposed of in the same way.
Well, in this instance, it's all about addressing the furies plaguing Orfeo. So another transformed context here. So instead of being the religious sort of background, here we have a something quite paganistic. So the furies plaguing Orpheus. So this is full of raw energy and dynamic build-up here. It's
just a thought. This is something I don't think Bach would ever have done.
No,
not to translate something written for religious purposes into I don't know. Maybe he would.
Well, in the Coffee Cantata, he sort of used.
Well, he did. Was any of that rehashed?
I don't know if it was though. I think he might have. He was probably too religious to allow that to.
That was what I had at the back of my mind, yeah.
Although he did use some of his secular concerto movements
in the religious music,
but I think
he certainly did that.
But that's a different thing between using a distinctive sort of
once you've sort of blessed it or given it that touch.
Right. That's it.
That label, if you like.
Yes, that's a really interesting point. This is definitely cross-pollinates. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So we'll hear the furies at work, in this instance here, plaguing Orfeo. So, yes, we'll hear what happens. Sharp and shiny. We had raw energy abound there, and yes, string writing with lots of semiquavers always has a gives that sense of urgency.
Very much so.
Yeah, so that was an another movement from Athalia, which was adapted, and here is probably the clinch pin of the whole thing. This is the the moment of pathos where Orfeo's expression of grief over his lost Eurydice. And originally, this movement was from a lamenting solo from Thalia, O Lord, whom we adore, and it's been transformed to this situation with Eurydice and Orfeo. So yeah, this is another one of these timeless, beautiful arias. So we'll hear another great aria with the Orfeo theme. Here we have it. And the name of this one is, I can say it's whole, Perso il caro ben is the name of the aria. vk3sl. go. Another beautiful, reflective moment from the Serenata. Entitled.
Are you
Yes. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me okay? Whoops.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. It suddenly
Yeah,
clicked on.
no, I can't hear you on through Zoom. I can
Oh dear. What's going on? Not through Zoom. That's a bit strange. We've got another.
Don't worry about it.
I can see my little microphone icons working.
Okay. Well, maybe it's at my end.
Wonder what else I can do here. Possibly.
Well, I could try a fix.
Okay. Hello, 1, 2. I can see that the microphone's working. Is that better now?
No.
That's a bit strange. Wonder what's going on.
Look, as far as I'm happy the way things are, I'd rather not disturb things here.
Yeah, look, I understand that. That makes sense. I'm sorry that unless I can do a quick, just a quick check-in to make sure that it's.
I promise you, it's not a problem at all.
Okay, all right. We probably don't need to go too long anyhow at this point.
Okay. Now that was really fit for purpose, wasn't it?
Yes,
beautifully,
definitely. It certainly was fit for purpose, and he's done a wonderful job crafting these movements and recontextualizing them. And but I'm just in awe of the melodic writing and the A-grade handle. It's nice.
I think he was quite. I'm not into favourites really, but I think he's quite clearly the second best baroque composer, wasn't he?
Oh, look, I think so. Yeah, I mean, he was very gifted, and he particularly his melodic writing, and and rich orchestration, and he had also word painting.
Yes, all that.
All of those things, all those qualities manifest in Handel's music, and of course his instrumental music's marvellous as well. But
he could write this stuff that was just really Bach-like, the keyboard suites.
That's true. Yeah, that's it. Definitely, he could. Yeah, no, we have to feature those. It'd be good to listen to them.
They're great.
They certainly are.
Yeah. There's a whole CD by Keith Jarrett. I think we played one.
Yes, we have. We've assembled that before, and I'm going to just take note of that because I'd like to hear more of that. And I always like to return to these themes.
Yeah, I love his. I think they're very individual interpretations.
Yes, Handel. Yeah, I might even. There's a couple of small choruses, and then I might see if I can find one of those Keith Jarrett. Pieces to finish up with. That could be nice. So
I can't help you too much.
No, that's okay. I'll just do a little search. There's a couple of other choruses. There's a couple of choruses which deserve to be played. Another adaptation, and I won't go into the details of it. The music speaks for itself, really.
Yes, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Yeah, we can just let it happen. Yeah, so here we go. Here's another, and this is the end of part 2. It's quite short. Another delightful aria there from Parnaso in Fiesta.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they're good tunes.
Oh,
And it would have been a great production to experience, I'm sure.
yes.
I was just reading some reviews, and it was very well regarded. The few times it was performed, it was held in high regard. Yay! So
He knew how to write for an audience, didn't he?
oh, he did. When he needed to put something effective together, he was able to resource himself very well, very effectively. So, look, it's just a couple of quick little tiny choruses to wind up with. Here's one from the end of part 2. In fact, I meant to play that before, but we'll just let these play out just so we get the full experience. Now it means I've cherry-picked the best movements from the work. And let me just make sure that is the one we want. Part 2. Yep, here we go. This is another sprightly chorus. And this is the end of the Orfeo section. And then it sort of goes into another part of a different mythological story for part 3. But here is the end of part 2. Sprightly chorus there to end the section. Yeah, it's very, very spirited. And we'll now hear the end of part 3. Something a little similar in some regards, but this is sort of the end of the whole piece. And again, another delightful chorus. So we'll play that, and then I've been able to find the Keith Jarrett. So that's
good.
So we'll definitely play something of that to wind up with at the very end. So we'll just hear this very last movement from the work in question, the Parnaso in Festa by Handel, a work reconstituted in the 1730s, about 1736 thereabouts, I think. That's the story. And for a royal wedding. So here we go. We'll hear now the very end of part 3. So we sort of get a bit of bookend. So if people are interested, it's out there on the web, and it's probably the only performance you can of it. But it, with all of the recitatives connecting the movements together, it really holds together superbly. We've sort of just cherry-picked movements tonight, but it's well worth a indulge. Let's hear last movement.
Oh,
everyone lived happily ever after.
Hey, dear, the gods all had their big party and went back to their domains after that.
As you do.
As you do. And, that was an indulgence. We actually sampled quite a selection from that work of Handel's.
Oh, thank you. It was lovely.
It was good fun, wasn't it? It was a recent discovery for me, and I just loved every moment of it. So, it's nice to and to share that and to enjoy it together with the listeners. And, we'll definitely have to play more Handel. Definitely. And we can finish up, Frank, with that with the movement. There's a lovely saraband from one of the keyboard suites. I think it's the G minor.
Yeah.
So we'll play that shortly and finish up. So it should be good. So are you around this weekend? Are you?
Yes, I'm having my final booster tomorrow morning.
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay.
Together with the old flu injection.
Oh, yes.
So I'll be pretty bulletproof.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, that's good. No problems. Well, we'll look forward to, we'll do something else tomorrow afternoon. We'll just go with the flow.
Oh, yes, I'll be right for tomorrow afternoon. And Sunday could be a bit doubtful because we're having visitations.
Ah, yes, that's fair enough.
From grandkids, etc.
Okay, sure. I think Sunday might be a short one for me because I think we've got, I think Kate's invited some people over for drinks. So
nice.
We negotiated a short mission.
Yes. Okay.
It's on Sunday, but we'll see how it goes. We'll take one step at a time. But look, thanks for hanging in there. I'm going to have to turn the stream off early because I know that last time I played one of these Keith Jarrett movements, I was impounded. So
there are some Jarrett watchers out there, are there?
There are some Jarrett watchers. So we'll some Jarrett bots out there. So we'll have to
There is a terrific podcast I have concerning Keith Jarrett,
and
I'll be quick.
Tell me.
I'm in some ways reluctant to send it to you because it's got ads in it.
Oh, okay. That's all right.
The other reason that I'm not sure how it'll go is that it plays for about half an hour, so it's a lot to sit through. But it has a terrific. It's true. It concerns Keith being asked to play at a concert by a young girl who had a very worthy cause that she was trying to promote, and she talked him into agreeing to play, and he turned up to play, and the piano was absolutely crap.
Oh, really?
And he just said, "I can't play this." The notes didn't work and everything.
Right.
And so he just walked out, and that was, as he thought, the end. But she burst into tears and then ran after him and pleaded with him. Yes. And I'll leave it there. But
oh, wow. So I'm hoping there was a happy outcome.
I can't say too much.
Okay. Well, look, I would like to hear that very much. I've always enjoyed Keith Jarrett's playing. He's one of the.
I can tell you, it did have a happy outcome.
Oh,
but
that's
getting
nice.
there was the story.
Okay, sounds like a really interesting tale. Yeah. Well, he's one of these rare artists who really inhabited two spaces, didn't he? I mean, he was a consummate jazz musician, one of the great jazz musicians.
Indeed.
And was able to play classical music with extraordinary refinement.
I think he had great insight into this Handel stuff.
Yeah, well, that's tremendous. I'm sure one thing informed the other, so it's.
Totally.
Yeah.
He was a most interesting man. He's on the spectrum.
Yeah.
But it affected him differently from, say, Glenn Gould, I think.
Yes, indeed.
Unfortunately, he doesn't play anymore because he had a stroke and his left hand is disabled.
Oh, that's really sad. How unfortunate. Yeah.
Yes.
Because he was a really major figure for a very long time, wasn't he?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I love him. Love his work.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, I mustn't. I'm rabbiting on, and you're limited time on the stream. So.
No, that's all fine. I look forward to. We look forward to hearing some Keith Jarrett. So, folks, if you're listening on the stream, I'm sorry, I will have to drop off at this point, and then we'll continue shortly with just a saraband, just a single movement from one of the keyboard suites by Handel. We've been really enjoying the music of Handel tonight, and it'll be good to hear him.